Hello, I am author Eileen Schnabel, author of the Kep Westgard Time Travel to the American Revolution series, and today we are in question number 2 of our Spirit of America bicentennial game. The questions being, as I mentioned earlier, more difficult than I had actually expected. But we are on to question number 2. Let's see how we do. I actually gave myself partial credit, but I didn't. When I looked at the answer, I realized, well, I wouldn't have gotten full credit, but maybe as a group together we can. The question was, here's our question. The colonists who had no voice in Parliament objected to both the Sugar Act and the Stamp Act on what grounds? And I thought, well, I would have answered because they have no voice in Parliament, which is in the question itself. So apparently that was too simple. And they wanted to know a little bit more about these acts. So if you knew a bit more, then I think we get full credit. Sugar Act, Molasses Act, as we said, is 1764. And it basically says we've got a lot of problems with smugglers, so we're going to lower the tax. They're smuggling in because the tax is too high. If we lower the tax but up the enforcement and give a lot of power to the customs officers and they start arresting people right and left for smuggling, then that was the Sugar Act, which already has the people up in arms. Then comes the Stamp Act, and everything that has a paper product, which would include even playing cards, are now you have to pay a tax on it. And this is an outrage to the colonists, and that's when they start boycotting British goods. And the theory is pretty logical. They think we stop buying all these paper products, and what it'll do is it'll put a lot of pressure on the British merchants who want us to buy these things. Actually, very much like the modern day idea of tariffs. We're looking at tariffs and trade wars, a little along those lines. But anyway, and they're right, because the British merchants are concerned about the drop off, the boycott, and Parliament then passes. So remember, this is 64, this is 65. So in 66, they pass the Declaratory Act and they take away the tax on this paper tax on playing cards. And that all seems really good, except that this same act, this Declaratory Act, basically says we have the right to we're going to take this away, but we have the right to tax anything in any amount, whatever we want to do. And so it just really reaffirms their power. And they use that, and this is the last part, in 67. So what's kind of interesting is this is 64, this is 65, 66, they take it away, but say we have the right to do whatever we want. Now 67 is the last part for this answer to this question. And they tax, among other things, it's the Townshend Act. And the Townshend Act, they tax tea, British tea. And that really gets to sort of the heart of a lot of colonists because they drink tea every day. It's a big part of their culture. And now their breakfast tea is 3 pence more per pound. And so once again, they go back to boycotts, to trying to come up with their own versions like herbal teas so that they do not buy English tea. So what I think for this question is, if you said they don't have a voice in Parliament, which is what I said, then it's partial credit. But if you knew anything about all these other things and how they played together, then I think we get full credit and can move on. So let me know, did you know sort of the 4-part sequence of this Sugar Act, which leads to the Stamp Act, which leads to the Declaratory Act, i.e. no more tax on paper products, however, we could do whatever we want, followed by the Townshend Acts, which says, hey, by the way, 3 pence more now for your tea. If you knew that, then I think we get to move on to number 3. Let me know how you did. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.